Week 4 of the NFL, it is going to be locking this Sunday. And here I'm going to be breaking down all of the best plays for tournaments for the Sunday main slate for DraftKings. Also have a video going up on YouTube to break down the FanDuel slate. So what I'm doing here is using the help of the tools at Stokastic.com, the contest generator, the Sims tool to build out 10,000 lineups, simulated them all, had each other play each other 40,000 times. And these are the results. So we'll see based on this, who are the players that we should be targeting this week on DraftKings. As you guys come in, do me a big favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to sign up for all of the data and tools we have for football, there's a link included below in the description box. When you sign up for our NFL package, you get access to everything. Player projections, ownership projections, the contest generators. So you can build your lineups on our site, and then also the simulation tool so you can simulate those lineups to see which ones are going to be best projected in large field tournaments. But here I'm going to select the top 150 lineups by simulated ROI. And based on this, my number one overall lineup here, it's actually a Raiders stack. Raiders double stack. It is Jimmy Garoppolo as the quarterback with James Cook and Miles Sanders there as the running backs, wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Jacoby Myers, Chiga Konku at tight end, Devontae Adams in the Buccaneers defense. So double stack, we've got Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams paired with Jimmy Garoppolo. And the Raiders passing game to this point has had a good amount of success, at least in terms of volume from a fantasy standpoint. Devontae Adams has been a monster this year. He finished with, 45 DraftKings points last weekend, something like that. And if you look at our top projected lineups here, a little bit different than in recent weeks where we've been looking at a lot of the stud QBs winding up in top lineups, where last week it was Tua, it was Patrick Mahomes, it was Justin Herbert. Those were the lineups that were projecting best for us. Today, though, a little bit on the cheaper end. We're seeing Pittsburgh stacks with Kenny Pickett. We're seeing Raiders stacks with Jimmy Garoppolo. We're seeing Colts stacks with Anthony Richardson. So let's see what the overall exposure looks like now. If we're looking at the exposures overall to the individual players, we are getting to a whole bunch of Miles Sanders at running back. And we are getting to Keenan Allen as our most rostered wide receiver here. And Keenan Allen's going to be fairly popular this week. I think it's warranted. He had 20 targets last week, and now Mike Williams is out of the picture. So you got Keenan Allen, one of the league leaders in basically every single receiving category. And now he's in an even better situation in a pass-heavy offense. So good spot for Keenan Allen. And then also, when we look at some of the pass catchers from the Steelers, we've got George Pickens showing up in a bunch of lineups. We've got Pratt Freiermuth showing up in a bunch of lineups. We've got Kenny Pickett as our most rostered quarterback overall. So what's the scenario with the Steelers here? It's that Deontay Johnson out. He was out last week also, but the pricing hasn't really adjusted yet. We still have a fairly cheap Steelers passing game, and they've shown that they're willing to have Kenny Pickett drop back and throw the ball a bunch of times. He looked really good in prime time last week. So getting to him in a bunch of lineups, and don't mind it. Gives us some salary savings to pay up at other positions. Who else are we getting to here? As far as pay up options, paying up at wide receiver, a good amount here. Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams as our two most rostered wide receivers. Still on Puka Nacua here. He's showing up in a good amount of lineups. So we'll see what ends up happening with his role when Cooper Kupp gets back. But the good news for us, not going to be this week. We don't have to worry about that. So at least for now, Nacua is going to continue to soak up a large bulk of the target share for the Rams. And he in the upper mid-range is projecting as one of the top wide receiver options for us. And then Jacoby Myers also as a nice pairing combination with Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams. I assume if we scroll down here that we're going to see Jimmy G show up. Yeah, it's one of our other most rostered quarterbacks. If we look at the stack exposures, in terms of single stacks, getting to Brock Purdy the most here, but overall not a ton of single stacks. This is 25-ish or so percent of our lineups. Most of the top lineups I've projected here are QBs with multiple of the pass catchers, whether it be two or whether it be three of them. And in those lineups, we're getting to Kenny Pickett. 21.3% of lineups are double stack Kenny Pickett lineups of our top 160, and Jimmy Garoppolo, 16% of our top 150 lineups are double stack Jimmy G lineups. And a lot of those, as we saw from the exposures before, it's going to be Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers as the primary pass catchers in those lineups. Let's look for some contrarian plays. Whoops, clicked on the wrong thing. All right, so who are we getting to that's projected for lower ownership? Eagles defense, Kenny Pickett is one of them. Also, correlating with Kenny Pickett, Calvin Austin, So Calvin Austin caught a long touchdown pass in primetime last week. He's somebody who benefits the most from like a snaps basis in the absence of Deontay Johnson. Still cheap and nobody playing him, only 5.9% owned. Other players we're getting to here, Deebo Samuel overweight to him. He's only projected for 8% ownership, getting 18% exposure to him right here. So this is the most contrarian build that I've had to this point in the season in the Sims tool. So it does look like this weekend, maybe it's going to be the end of the chalk. We've seen very chalky slates to open up the season. And this weekend, our projections see it otherwise. So definitely have us on some different builds. If we look at who we're underweight to here, some chalky players. Christian McCaffrey, not getting to very much of him. Alexander Madison, Adam Thielen, Jamar Chase. These are all players that are projected for 13+% ownership and getting to them in single-digit amount of lineup. So underweight to all of them. And then also underweight to Josh Jacobs, which also I think makes some sense to pivot. Not that he's crazy popular, 12.5% ownership to Josh Jacobs, but we're getting more exposure to the lesser-owned Raiders passing game, which does serve some as a pivot off of Josh Jacobs. So that's a little bit of an overview of everything that we're looking at right now for DraftKings, top projected lineup, some of the top plays to get to, some players to be underweight to the field to, and top stacks. If you guys want access to all this information for yourself to help build your lineups, sign up using that link below. Get access to everything that we have over at Stokastic.com. Also, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you want access to the FanDuel slate, I'm also breaking that down on the YouTube channel as well. So good luck this weekend, guys. See you back here next week.